Hey people, welcome back to Recap Flicks, and today we're going to be recapping a 2022 horror movie called Hatching. In the first scene, a young teenage girl named Tinja practices her ballet moves in her living room. The camera pans around the room to reveal her mother as the recorder. Then, they walk to Popsy's office with Tinja's younger brother, Matthias. Turns out they were making a video for Tinja's mother's blog or something. The family's having a great time recording their great moments when a crow breaks through their window to the living room. The crow breaks a few things around the house before it's captured by Tinja. She hands the crow over to her mom and watches her snap its neck. Tinja collects the lifeless crow from her mother and disposes of it afterward. Then she peeks into the neighbor's garden to talk with the new neighbor, Rita. Rita's dog senses something fishy with Tinja and bites her hand during her conversation with Rita. Rita quickly apologizes to Tinja and walks back to her compound to continue doing her thing. Tinja walks back to the house to join her mother, who is putting Matthias to sleep. When the young man is finally in the clouds, Tinja and her mom get to have some mother-daughter time. Together, they check out the video they made earlier in the day for any editing errors. Before falling asleep, however, Tinja gets curious. If only she'd known better than to check for the crow's corpse from earlier. When she doesn't find the crow's corpse there, she walks into the woods to find it. Bad mistake, baby girl. Anyways, she finds the poor thing laying on the ground as it lets out a scream of pain. Tinja tries to pet it but soon realizes that won't do it any good. She decides to put it out of its misery and takes it out. Before leaving, Tinja finds a suspicious-looking egg, takes it back to her house, and places it near her. Like, seriously? Life goes on with Tinja following that night as she continues practicing for a big ballet competition her school was hosting sometime later. One afternoon, Tinja does her training and fumbles woefully at it. Her coach gives her some words of encouragement and calls it a day. Tinja treks all the way home and finds her mother cheating on her dad with the handyman and family friend, Taro. Why is it always the handymen getting the cheeks? Her mom finds out about her daughter's arrival a little bit too late. Nonetheless, she acts normal and welcomes her daughter back home while Taro sees himself out. A few minutes later, the cheater walks to her daughter's room and cajoles her daughter to keep her affair with Taro a secret from Dad. It's the audacity for me. Tinja acts like the good little girl she is and stays quiet. When her mother walks out of the room, she checks out the egg she got from the woods earlier. Fortunately, or unfortunately, the egg was still alive. The next day, Tinja watches her mother lie to her dad about going on a business trip. We all know she's looking to get some D from the plumber. Dad seems to act oblivious to the real reason she was going on the trip. Or maybe he doesn't know? After Mom's gone, Tinja has a nice friendly chat with poor Dad while he tunes his guitar. Then she returns to her room to check out the egg again. A few days later, Tinja watches Rita, the new neighbor, crush the performance she's been trying so hard to master. This puts a menacing smile on her mother's face as she witnesses the entire thing. After practice, she makes Tinja do the performance over and over again until she gets it. Atta girl, Mom. That night, something weird happens between Tinja and the thing inside the egg. And no, it's not what you're thinking. Tinja places her bruised palm on the egg, and this makes it bond in some weird way with the teenager. Then, Mom walks into her room to discuss her newfound lover, Taro. We get to listen to the cheater tell her daughter how good and amazing Taro is to her. As expected of a girl with a heart, Tinja gets to her room to sob tears of sorrow for an impending divorce, and the unexpected happens. The egg, which was now the size of a human baby, hatches into some sort of Halloween experiment. Tinja hides in the safety of her closet as she watches the monster claw its way out of the shells. When it all goes silent, Tinja peeps out and is scared by the creature. The creature screams out loud and escapes through the window. Dad comes up to make sure his girl is okay. Thankfully, she is. The next night, the creature crawls its way back to Tinja's room with an injured wrist. Tinja tends to the wound, bathes it, and brings it to bed. At dawn, Rita's dog starts barking in the other house. This irritates Tinja so much that her newborn monster wakes up, takes Rita's dog out, and presents the corpse to Tinja. Tinja retches at the sight of the beheaded dog and buries it in the garden very early the next morning. A few hours later, Matthias brings Dad to Tinja's room. Apparently, Matthias had wanted to pee the previous night but was shunned away by his big sis when she was bathing the monster. So, instead of looking for the other bathroom, Matthias wetted the bed. For fear of being discovered, Tinja says she'd washed her brother's bedsheets. Dad's okay with this, so he leaves Tinja to her thing. After school that day, Tinja stops over at the supermarket to buy her bird-like monster some bird food. There, she's approached by Rita and some girls who tease her. Rita notices Tinja's shyness and decides to walk home with her. Mom returns home from her business trip and gifts only Tinja. Maybe she forgot she had a son, or maybe she thought her son was her husband's to take care of. Whatever the case is, Marius is not happy Mom didn't get him a gift, so he walks outside, uproots Rita's dog from the garden, and presents it to everyone. Everyone's just as surprised as we are. How the hell did he know that Rita's dog is dead? Marius accuses his sister of killing the neighbor's dog and runs upstairs to her room. There, he wears a mask and checks under her bed. The monster in the dark rips the mask in half and sends Marius running downstairs. Tinja has a mini seizure and runs upstairs with Mom. Mom checks under Tinja's bed and sees nothing. Tinja, who had already seen the monster hiding in the closet, locks the closet once her mother's out of her room. A few hours later, Tinja tries to feed the monster, but the monster doesn't eat the bird food Tinja bought for it. So, Tinja eats it, vomits it, and serves the vomit to the monster. The monster eats the vomit voraciously as Tinja watches. Yuck! After its disgusting meal, Tinja bonds with the monster and calls it Allie. Talk about an unexpected christening. Tinja has nightmares at midnight, and this seems to rile up the monster. Allie leaves Tinja's room for her mother's and plays with her. Mom wakes up and searches the room for the source of the slime on her thighs. She finds no one. At that moment, Tinja menacingly combs the monster's hair and clothes her before going to bed. The next day, Tinja and Rita both practice in the gym in front of the coach and Tinja's mom. So, after practice, she walks towards the girls and talks down on Rita for being better than her daughter. Some people are seriously not meant to be parents at all. Tinja's mom is a prime example of what a parent shouldn't be like. That night, Rita is attacked on her way home by Tinja's ruthless monster. Only this time, the monster had changed its form to be Tinja's doppelganger. Tinja, who is also on her way home in her mom's car, feels something weird happening and reacts violently. Her mother notices the issues with her and blames it on the stress. To relieve herself and her daughter of the pent-up energy, she advises they spend the weekend over at Taro's place. Typical modern woman. Tinja gets home and finds her monster's beak in her closet. At breakfast the next day, Tinja finds out that her father already knew about her mom's affair with Taro and, according to him, was respecting her decisions of knowing what she wants. What a freaking simp. By the weekend, Tinja follows her mother to Taro's place. She watches her play around like a dog who just got fed as she fondles Taro. Tinja questions her reality and follows her mother to pet Taro's newborn. Apparently, Taro was a widower whose wife died during childbirth. That night at Taro's place, Tinja gets a visit from her monster again. The two sleep together on the same bed as night drifts into day. The next morning, Tinja's mother finds out about Rita's awful state. Tinja pays her friend at the hospital a visit. Rita's not so happy to see her as she screams out loud with all the cuts on her face. Tinja returns home with tears on her face and beats herself up. Her monster calms her down and puts her to sleep. The next morning, Tinja wakes up to see Allie watching over her. She gets up and talks with Taro in his garage. After finishing her work for that day, Tinja shows her mom's boyfriend some of her ballet moves and fumbles. Taro consoles her and plays around a little bit. A little while later, Taro hears Tinja coughing in her room. Sensing something is wrong, Taro walks over to Tinja's room and knocks on the door. Turns out Tinja was vomiting into a bowl for her monster doppelganger to eat. Gross! Tinja, upon hearing Taro's knocks on the door, rushes over to close it. Taro manages to open it and see the monster. Allie launches himself at Taro, but Tinja closes the door just in time. Shortly afterward, Tinja begs Taro not to tell her mother about what he saw earlier. Taro keeps his mouth shut and continues his day. Cool guy. Tinja's mom arrives shortly and takes her to the ballet competition held that day. Tinja begs her mother to let Taro and Helmi, Taro's baby girl, tag along with them. However, her mother leaves without them. At the competition, Tinja senses Allie making moves towards terminating Taro's baby girl. So, to stop her murderous doppelganger from taking out a baby, Tinja sprains her hand and stops Allie from killing Taro's baby. When they return home, Taro berates Tinja and her mother for allowing such a monster near his baby. Tinja's mom tries talking to Taro, but it doesn't work. Taro kicks her and Tinja out of his house. The moral of the story, don't cheat. When Tinja and her mom arrive back home, Tinja's mom kisses her simp of a husband while Tinja throws Allie out of her room. Later on, Tinja's mom is seen recording herself and telling everyone she's fine. Tinja interrupts her and apologizes for fumbling at the tournament earlier. Tinja's mother shuns her. Following the confrontation with her mom, Tinja takes a bath and prepares for bed. Meanwhile, her mother walks to her room and sees Allie in the closet. At this stage, Allie is very identical to Tinja, so her mom can't tell the difference. So, mom picks Allie up and yanks her terrible hair out of its scalp. Allie injures Tinja's mother until she's pulled away by her mom. Tinja walks into the room and chases the monster away. This time, Allie rebels and runs away. Tinja then explains everything to Mom, saying all the recent terminations were due to that thing. Mom hugs her daughter and arms themselves with knives to hunt down the creature. They walk quietly around the house, stalking the monster until Tinja's mom is suddenly attacked from behind. She struggles to take the knife, which fell out of her hand, and stabs Allie in the leg. This affects Tinja as well, as they are connected, sort of. With Allie laying on the ground in pain, Tinja begs her mother not to take her hatchling out. Angry Mom doesn't listen to her daughter as she raises the knife to take out Allie. However, Tinja steps in and is stabbed instead. Her mother cries out as Tinja takes her last breath of life. In the final moments of the movie, the hatchling emerges in a new form, a form that resembles Tinja. The screen goes black as the hatchling Allie mutters its few first words, Mother. Thanks for watching, guys. What could you make out of this movie? Is there a moral story to be learned here, or is this just another passerby movie? Let's know in the comments section below.